Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Mark, it is so lovely to see you.
Yeah, welcome, Debbie. Nice to see you, and hope to see you next week live.
Yes,
thank you, and thank you for inviting me and Mimaki for this opportunity to share some knowledge.
Yes, the interior decor industry is set for such massive growth, isn't it? And it's really interesting that following the progress throughout lockdown, it has been one of the marketplaces that has accelerated massively throughout the pandemic. It kind of bucked the trend, didn't it, really? Everything was growing. So it'd be really interesting to talk about the market trends for textiles with you today. Yes, most definitely. And of course, next week we'll all be at FESPA, and I'm sure you're all very, very busy with your last minute preparations there. So I really appreciate you taking the time to join me today. Really quick intro of who I am, just very, very quickly, Mark. It's you that we want to talk to. People don't want to listen to me.
No, it's perfect.
I am the CEO of Texintel, which is a platform that connects the industry, and I'm also very proud to be the textile ambassador for the FESPA Federation. And it's in that capacity that I'm also speaking with you today. So Mark, thank you so much. Congratulations, you have a new role within Mimaki too.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, huge congrats. Can you give us an insight, Mark, into your career journey, your passion for the print industry, and your new role as the EMEA product manager at Mimaki?
Yeah, to sum up my working career, I started around 20 years ago, directly after my graphic school, educating, working in a screen print company. Very nice job, and working hard under pressure, like everybody knows from screen print, deadlines, and every day was different. And after a few years, they invested in a Xerox electrostatic printer. You know that? Some years ago. It was printing, washing, laminating at a very low speed. And I immediately knew that this was the future, and I need to educate myself in profiling, digital printing, software, finding out some media. There was no internet, so we need to find everything by ourselves, a lot of phone calls and traveling. And at my second company, which was also a screen print company, I was in charge of the production of the printers, and it was a nice portfolio of printers. In the end, they had around 12 digital printers, from a few Mimaki JV5s to HP 5000, some Arizonas, they were, and some Psycho machines. They were the second with an Arizona flatbed, which was for that time a really nice machine. But when we had a demo at the Mimaki demo center, which was literally around the corner, the first time there was a Japanese lying on the machine, bringing parts to customer, and my thoughts were that, okay, working in this demo center, arranging it in a better way would be the best job to do. And like 2 months later, there was a job advertisement for showroom manager at Mimaki. However, my first visit was a fun experience. Mimaki Europe was just starting, and they were around working with 8 people, doing shows, doing maintenance, picking orders, doing demos. So everybody was involved in all the tasks, and most of the people are still working at the company. So it is, yeah, it's just one big family.
That's nice.
Yeah, and next to that, yeah, we have a very good business model that most of our partners are working for 25 or 30 years and selling Mimaki machines. So it is, yeah, if you talk to these companies and you listen, you will get their amazing stories and how they get involved in this industry. And they are all pioneers, and yeah, it is a big family for years. So
the print industry is one big family, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really in a close community, and even the competition, you know, the guys, and everybody
Yeah.
is just happy to see each other. And even now, after 1.5 years, so we're really looking forward to next week.
Most definitely, yeah. It's interesting, Mark, that you kind of began your career, as you say, you know, being interested in technology, etc. And that's exactly how I got hooked into CAD/CAM and digital technologies as well. In fact, I remember this yesterday. The first digital printer I ever bought in 1998 was a Mimaki, and if I remember correctly, it was a TX1, way back when, you know, and it was absolutely revolutionary. We used to use it for sampling, and then post sampling production, we then cut screens way before we got to industrial textiles. And you know, like you, I just got completely hooked and could see the vision and the future for this technology, which is just moving so fast.
Yeah, if you just, we still have customers with those machines running.
Yes.
Just a few meters, but they are totally hooked about
yeah.
And I cannot get rid of that. So some are still working. However, it's difficult to get parts and etc.
It is.
But
yeah.
The most important thing, what I kind of learned, is that in this industry, that you listen to other people. So if I'm talking, I'm not listening. So I do not develop myself. I think that's important.
That's true, and collaboration has never been more important, has it, right now? Yeah, it's a huge part of the future. Next question, Mark. With a wealth of experience and, as you've just demonstrated, a huge practical knowledge, what are you looking forward to accomplish in your new position?
From the 1st of July, I started as the product manager at Mimaki with an experienced team of 4 people. Who are already also for years in the industry, and with my knowledge and about application and products, I will definitely add some value and do the best to help our sales team to get more value. Because as product management, we are the force behind the sales team. We have to get all the product guides and the sales guides ready, and it's really a privilege to work for a company which is developing machines for over years.
Absolutely, yeah. There's such an incredible heritage, don't you, Mimaki, with so much incredible technology.
We were literally the first with a cutting plotter in 1987, and the first with a textile piezo printer in 1998, which you just mentioned.
First
and
customer.
Also so you were the first. And also the first with UV LED technology, which it's really a journey.
It is. It's an evolution, isn't it? It really is. Yeah, it is. That kind of leads us nicely on to the next question, actually. It's been a challenging 18 months for us all in the print industry. How has the industry changed in that time, and where are the new opportunities?
We are selling machines in different kinds of segments. So just I will sum up some segments. So if we look at the specific markets, sign graphics was really hit hard. So cancellations of all kinds of exhibitions around the world. By following up recovery, the revenue grew by the year of the end of the 4th quarter. For the textile business was also affected by the falling demand of shipping textiles from overseas. And nevertheless, we did see a demand for producing local, and we sold also in that time a lot of machine locally in Europe. So that was also, it was not hit so hard, and it recovered quite fast. But it's also depending on which application of textiles you look for. If we look, for example, at the 3.2 wide soft signage, they are still suffering very hard, and everybody is desperately hoping that all these events will start soon, and also this market is recovering soon. For the industrial market IP products, so UV, we had a few months in the beginning which we suffered, but the demand for printing boards and plexiglass was huge, so it was quite normal at the end of the 4th quarter of 2020. So we suffered quite hard, and we also needed to change the production workflow day by day in Europe, but also in Japan. And in addition, it was and is still a challenge to get the production running, and with all the issues worldwide, and to get raw materials and parts. So, but yeah, most important what we learned and is that Mimaki is a company for innovative product, and next to the core technologies, which is inside all of our products, for instance, the sleep cleaning, nozzle check, advanced pass system, it worked. And even in some countries like Spain, which were closed for several months, the machines were running immediately after the lockdown. So that was also something which we learned for, and that we feel and see that the choice for Mimaki was a good choice.
It must have advanced, Mark, as well, your online capabilities as well with regard to service, because during lockdown, it's impossible for engineers to move around the world. So you must have really, fine-tuned your skills at telephone maintenance, really, as well, being able to speak to people over the phone and talk them through things.
It was, we kind of both the technical aspect, but also we started very early with e-learning. So to get the information towards all the partners, and you can do a lot with phone and Teams, and everybody was amazed that we traveled so much, but it was not always necessary. If somebody had a problem, we need to travel to Italy or to whatever. And now it took some more time, but it was quite, it worked. So also everybody learned a lot from the situation.
Definitely. And I think it's going to be a big part of the future as well, isn't it? That kind of hybrid service and maintenance now, and just everything, really. I mean, I have to say your marketing team did a super job too, didn't they? I mean, the way that you suddenly developed this incredible presentation studio to support marketing was fantastic, engaging with your consumers. You did a fantastic job.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie. Yeah, this is all part of the team, and it was it was difficult to start, and because not everybody was aware or good in being at the camera or doing some interviews. But yeah, if you do it a few times, then
exactly. We're all still humans, aren't we? You have to forget that you're looking at a piece of technology and pretend you're in the same room somehow. It's kind of it's a mental thing, isn't it? Really, that's great. Okay, next question, Mark. Mimaki Technology offers a digital printing solution across multiple applications for the decor industry. Can we talk about each sector and the market developments, new machines and applications? And I think it's probably easier if I just move through the different sectors for you. So first of all, should we talk about textiles and how that marketplace has changed, and how your technology has evolved to meet and drive market trends?
Yeah, the global pandemic has brought some difficulties, but it has also delivered many new opportunities, especially for the textile industry. Like I mentioned, we see a trend in producing locally.
Yes.
And the market is really demanding speed of delivery. If I look at my two young daughters and what they are wearing, I do not like it a lot, but in these days we see trends within the month. So there's a shorter lifespan of products and textiles, which is helping the textile industry with the market growth. So that's also a fun part about the industry.
Most definitely, and I think because of that short turnaround now, people are looking to apply digital technologies because they can't rely on the supply chains of the past, can they? They can't have that 2-3 month window. They can't carry on this culture of discounting where 40% of stock at the end of sale is, either goes to resale or it's the price is within the actual original cost and margins. So I think I would say that the pandemic has definitely encouraged reshoring and nearshoring, perhaps in the interim just to get stock, but it's actually going to be a big part of a sustainable future, I think. Would you agree?
Yeah. For sure, yeah, everybody, yeah, especially. But the big issue is when everything is running again, then because it's also a big demand to get the right textiles and fabrics. But especially in the textile industry, digital printing is really a need. So, like you mentioned, no stocks or less stocks. Yeah, printing personalized. Yeah,
definitely. Mark, have you seen growth then, if we stick on the textile subject, have you seen growth across dye sublimation as well as pigment technologies, etc., etc.?
The dye sublimation, if we look at Mimaki, is still very, very huge. Pigments, a lot of people are touching it and testing it, and if the inks and washability will be a little bit better and the pricing of the ink will be some lower, then I think a lot of people will touch it. But if you talk about the sustainable part, then people will like to move to cotton and to that kind of. So textile pigment is definitely also it's really for the future. Yeah,
it is it's a huge part of the future. Yeah. And I agree with you, you know, there is that kind of price pointing issue, isn't there? There's kind of going to be a tipping point in the pigment printing industry. I mean, pigment is probably, dye sublimation is a huge part of the marketplace too. It's massive. But if you look at conventional traditional printing, pigment really holds 60% of that analog volume marketplace, doesn't it? So it's a huge marketplace for us to shift and to switch into. But ultimately, the marketplace is serving an established market at an established price point. So I think what we've seen over the last 18 months is really going to start to help that situation, because when a client is factoring into their business model 40% turn down at the other end, then the whole fashion industry and all of those industries have to really start to reevaluate their business models and stop looking at it as price per square meter, which is, you know, all the sales guys will say it's always the first question. How does that work out, the price per square meter? And yet it's the total cost of ownership, isn't it, really? It's the total cost of your business model. But costings are predominantly done at price meter costing. So I think there's so many things to change, but I really look forward to watching that tipping point as our all of our technologies start to move and start to really make serious disruption into the pigment marketplace, really. That's really interesting. Mark, can you tell us about any new technologies you have in the textile sector that you might be showing at FESPA? Can you give us a heads up a few days early?
And then talking about textile or also other?
Yeah, we can talk about other things. Yeah, we can move on in a minute. If there's anything in textiles you want to talk about now, and then we can move on, that's fine.
Yeah, during the FESPA, we will show our new TS100 machine, which is a transfer paper machine. But we also have the opportunity to visit our showroom because it's next door. It's just 5 minutes drive. So, and inside our experience center, we have all the machines from a TX300 to the big Tiger. So everything is in the showroom. But for the show and the FESPA, we will show the TS100 sublimation printer.
That's great. That's great. I have been to your demo unit. You very kindly, a couple of years ago, printed a lot of fabrics for our Printeriors event, didn't you? That was so much fun.
No, that was fun.
I probably drove you crazy. I'm sorry. But it was lots of fun, and we used lots of different technologies, didn't we? We used dye sublimation, and we used pigment. We also used direct. We had dye sub and pigment in the same machine. We had lots of fun. It's good.
Paper transfer direct. Even there was not enough time, but we can do reactive or acid. So yeah, it's a very nice industry.
It was good, and it was also a really great experiment to as Printeriors is really, to show how textiles are used across such a wide platform. And when we were doing those demos together, we were printing fabrics that were contract fabrics, so they were fire retardant. as you say, you know, we're printing lots and lots of synthetics and lots of cellulose fabrics at all sorts of GSMs and all sorts of different weights, and really learning how to use those machines and apply the technology to the different weights and the different GSMs and the different color palettes. And it was really great to have that hands-on with you too, and be able to adjust and tweak color visually as well with your rip, which was excellent. Do you remember? I was so surprised, I have to say, because you were running, which machine were we using? Was the one that was split between, it had 4 heads, 4 ink sets, but we were running 4 one side, 4 the other. And I remember being absolutely amazed by the profile that you had running pigment with just 4 colors. The colors were amazing. It was great.
Yeah, this was the TX300 hybrid, so we can install inside the machine sublimation or textile pigment ink. So yeah, it's and we did see, especially in the UK, that we sold a lot of these machines to fashion schools and also in Italy. So it's really a perfect machine for proofing and testing, and also touching a little bit about the textile pigment ink. Yeah.
Which of course is so simple to use on cellulose, because you're literally just printing it and then heat setting it with no further processing. So for the future, there's not a lot of water involved. In fact, there's almost no water involved, which is very, very good from a sustainability perspective as well, because of course you don't have to post coat or wash it. It's all great. And the same with dye sub, of course, as well, which is a dry line really too. Okay, so we look forward to seeing having a real life look at a machine next week at FESPA, which is
you're welcome, Debbie.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Because when are you traveling to Amsterdam?
I travel tomorrow, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I travel tomorrow, and then we'll be building Printeriors for the next 3 or 4 days, which is so much fun. Yeah, and do thank Martin as well.
You just
Martin
can bring some sun, so.
I very much doubt anybody ever brings sun from the UK. It's very, very doubtful. Very doubtful indeed. But do thank Martin as well. I know Martin's been working very hard in your application suite, and he's been producing lots and lots of samples for us that will be on show at Printeriors next week, using lots of different technologies. Actually, he's got some, I believe we've got some dye sub prints. We've got some neons, which I'm really looking forward to having a look at, and we've built a special black light neon room to demonstrate those. He's also done some leather printings.
Leather printing, yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. And he's also printed some other textiles and things and wall coverings for us too. So really looking forward to putting that display together and showing everybody what all of these different technologies can do in just one marketplace, which is so interesting. So we talked about textiles. Just before I move on though, Mark, where do you see industrial textiles playing out with the Tiger? Because you have a big industrial machine there too that can serve volume marketplaces.
Yeah, we started with the Tiger a few years ago, and it was a totally new market. But due to our business model and well-educated technicians around Europe, we can definitely see that the machine is running now in all parts. We have a few in Spain, in Portugal, in Poland, a lot of machines. And if you look at the quality, it is amazing. And even at one pass, it's printing a really, really nice quality. So yeah, it's definitely a really nice machine. And also we implemented all the technologies, all the core technologies of Mimaki. So there's a nozzle recovery. We have a dithering map system inside. So yeah, we are happy with the machine, but it's a difficult market because it was it was most producing overseas, and you see that there's more and more production coming back to Europe. So that's also very nice to see.
Yeah, definitely, and that's definitely a result of the pandemic, I think too, isn't it? Most definitely, people having to come back to Europe particularly, and I think they always have to swing back into Europe too, because of course textile printing is just one small part of a product. It's a critical part, but you have to have sewing to create the actual final product. And I think that's why Europe will score so well as we start to see reshoring happen too. It's always going to be a problem here in the UK because we lost our hemming, lots and lots of our hemming functionality, and we do have pop-up satellites here in the UK, but I think for volume production you're going to see a huge swing, I believe, from the Far East, shortening that supply chain, shortening that timeline, and moving production to Europe, which will be good news for everybody in Europe and the whole industry as a whole, which is going to be fabulous. Mark, let's talk about, we talked about textiles then. Should we talk about wall coverings? Not your technologies. Yeah, Mark wants to talk about wall coverings. Great. So let's talk about wall coverings. How has this sector evolved? What's new and what's next?
Yeah, if we look about wall covering, the latest wallpaper trends are all about printing on a wide range of materials, and the possibilities are limitless. So we are working a lot with designers, like also with you. You started like 2 years ago in our office, and we play with them on all the machines. And yeah, we see a trend that printing on a wide range of difficult materials, and for instance also different applications, so panoramic walls, textured effects, and natural inspired, sustainable, like cork. So there's a wide variety of materials, and looking at the solutions, it can mostly only be printed with UV LED technology. We do not have any issues with heat sensitive media, and the curing is immediately. So post-processing can be done immediately. I will not talk about the competition, but yeah, printing without using heat and temperature is really necessary for wallpapers.
Yeah, you're going to avoid a lot of post-production issues, aren't you, regards shrinkage of vinyls? And I have that badge. I've worn that badge. You know, when you're working with multiple substrates, trying to control them both at tension and at heat, when in that kind of production process, anytime you change any of those parameters, as we know, you're having an effect on the actual substrate itself, and at speed, being able to control that is very, very, very important. And heat can be one of the biggest factors in both in stretch and shrinkage. So,
especially if you have a nice step and repeat image and you need to mount it with a wallpaper in different panels, yeah, you do not want any distraction of the 2 meter, which will get 199.
No, you don't. And the thing is, it's cumulative as well. When I used to produce my wallpaper ranges for anthropology, you had to be very, very careful because it starts off as like 0.0000 of a mil. But you know, when you're producing 400, 500 rolls, and you're trying to get it through an auto cutting process, those point millimeter increments end up in a, as you said, a 1 or a 2 mil gap, and then when you're working on repeat patterns, they don't side match. So there are lots and lots of things to discover in that. But I totally take on board your point that technology has to have all of those factors in mind when it's built and when it's constructed, so that it does serve the marketplace for which it's been developed, really, which is very, very interesting. So what kind of effects are you using with UV? I know that when I last saw some of your work that you're doing for, when did we use that for? I think that was Printeriors, wasn't it? In 2018, you were printing whites, and you were also printing gels. That was really interesting. Some great effects.
I think you are talking about the textured effect, which we can have. So with the UV, we can build a maximum to 70 layers, and then you have a textured effect, and we will call it 2.5D printing. This is this can only be done with UV. Okay.
You could create some fantastic surface effects, and I think that's also a big part of the wallpaper space, isn't it, really? And the ambience that you create with wallpaper in an interior decor space, because wallpaper, whilst a lot of people perceive it as a flat surface, it really isn't. It's a very tactile surface, and it's a surface that reflects a lot of light. So it really it really all of those technologies, all of those things come together to make the product beautiful in the room, really, and add the perceived value for the designer and both for the printer as well, working on lots of different substrates.
And you just see that all the designers also found digital printing. So personalization is just a must. And we see that people pay 70% more for personalization at a wallpaper or inside or indoor.
Yes. Yeah, they definitely do. There's a different perceived price point, isn't there, really? And there's a lot more goes into it too. If you're creating something that's unique for you, you really actually are starting to value the design of a product, aren't you, and not the product's volume. I think that's all kind of part of how everything's turning over. Even from textiles through to wall coverings, customization is a huge part of the future of our industry. Would you agree, Mark?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I fully agree.
Definitely. Okay, so lots and lots of great things going on in the decor sector. Can't wait to see the machines next week as well there and have a play. You just can't beat face-to-face exhibitions, can you? And we can talk about everything virtually, but actually being there and seeing things and touching things and hearing those machines, really look forward to that next week, most definitely. Mark, can we talk about 3D technologies and the potential of additive manufacturing?
There's a lot of R&D going on in 3D technology, and every day you will receive more information about new 3D technologies. Mimaki already saw this huge potential a couple of years ago, and we introduced our 553, which is a full color 3D printer. And yeah, again, this is a very nice piece of engineering, and the quality is really amazing. You should visit next week the show, and we have Jordi, which is our 3D application specialist, and he will guide you through the world of 3D. So we still see a huge potential in the 3D market, and that's why we recently launched our 2207, which this machine will make the step towards full color 3D printing much affordable for end users. So and next to that, as a printer manufacturer, we have the printing part under control, because that's nice with 3D. So everybody is thinking in textile and UV, you need a printer, but with 3D, you need to have the design and the preparation and getting the errors from the design, and then afterwards you need to post-process, you need to wash, you need to brush it, and we have now the full package ready, so everybody who would like to start can start with 3D printing. So let's visit us next week.
Most definitely. Were you going to be having that technology on the stand at FESPA, Mark?
Yes, we will have it on the FESPA, but most probably we will show everything during the Formnext, which is 1 month later. But on the FESPA, we have this, the full package is available. Yeah.
Okay. And how are clients particularly using that then? What sort of products are they making with your 3D tech? Are they?
It is coming from automotive to medical. A lot of figurines are printed. It's a huge industry, and it's growing. It's still everything what can be printed in 3D. We see the strangest thing coming by, so it's really nice. But just come by, and we will show you everything.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How all of this additive stuff, it kind of, as everything evolves, you know, the different kinds of resins, the different technologies within the machinery that you're building too, the applications just get wider and wider and wider, don't they? Most definitely.
And if it's maybe too technical, but we kind of we already had the flatbed UV machine, and what we are doing is that we are building with the same UV ink, but with a support ink. We are just building layers, and then you have the 3D print, and the support ink we can easily wash off with water, and then you have the 3D printed image.
Great. Look forward to discovering more about that next week then. That sounds fabulous. Okay. We've probably answered this question. Where, in kind of summary, where do you see the key opportunities for growth for textiles, wall coverings, UV, and 3D then? Which, if you had to say which markets were going to grow the most for textiles, the same for wall coverings and the same for 3D, what would you think?
Good question.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, the sector, I think the stability of production and automation and adding robotics to the production environment, I think this will be the future. So there is so much to develop, and yeah, we are really looking forward for the upcoming years, because automation is really something that the textile industry, industrial, and even also for wallpaper is everybody will add this to their production.
Yeah, we're definitely moving to a digital future, aren't we?
Yeah,
most definitely. Yeah, and digitizing.
We are really looking forward for upcoming years and how the industry is developing. So.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at, Mark, in your time in the industry and mine too, how much has changed, and how much we have actually already digitized the workflow. You know, just going back to the late 90s, really, from CAD CAM, and how all of that now, in that automation, the technologies have all converged together so that we now can have a truly digital workflow and actually start to build, you know, the smart hubs and the smart factories of the future, where an order drops in online and is never actually touched by a human hand all the way through.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, no, it's going to be so interesting, isn't it, really? Yeah. And so great for, you know, from my perspective too, for the design industry, because it adds so much creativity into our marketplace, which is always fantastic for entrepreneurial growth. It's really good, it really is. And you know, I've always said that about the Mimaki machines as well, because you as a company have a solution for all marketplaces at all levels, and that's quite unique, isn't it, really? So your customers can grow their businesses with you and stick with one technology. Yeah, you know, they might start with a small printer, you know, but probably as we did actually when I bought my first one in 1998, we started with one, and then you grow a little farm, and then you move up to the next stage of technology or the next speed, but you don't have to move out of the ecosystem and the software, etc., that you know so well. So congratulations, you know, I watched Mimaki over the years, and the technology has grown so much.
I think it's also very, very nice that if people, for instance, are walking in our experience center, we are always mentioning that if you walk in at Mimaki, we have a solution for everybody. If it is a small UV flatbed, if it is a textile printer, if it is from small full color 3D to UV LED 3.2, that's, yeah, it's a really nice company to work for.
It is, and that's how they've held on to you for 15 years, Mark, isn't it? That's great. Yeah. Definitely. Mark, why has Mimaki technology itself, do you think, been so successful worldwide?
Yeah, Mimaki stands for innovative and profitable products. So from the world's first A2 flatbed pen plotter to the first to introduce UV LED. So Mimaki R&D is also heavily investing in R&D and in developing products. So, and next to that, our business model is, like I mentioned, working with the same companies for years, and we are listening to all the partners. That's also one of the big success of Mimaki.
Yeah, staying in tune with your customers and growing with them.
Yeah, and ask them and share the knowledge what the market is needed. Yeah.
No, it's very, very interesting, really. It has been amazing to watch this whole industry evolve over the last 20 years, and to watch it start to accelerate now, I really do see the pulse starting to gain momentum, most definitely, when we look at how those technologies are applied across the marketplace, because the stats vary, but everybody says maybe 6 to 8% in the textile space, for example, has now moved over to digital from analog. But I really, really hope that if we have a benefit from the awful pandemic that we just had for the last 18 months, it will be that we now accelerate the digitization of our industry as we move forward. Mark, I think we've touched on, finally touched on the fact we're all going to see, and hopefully some of the listeners here today will make the endeavours and visit us all in Amsterdam, and we can't wait to welcome everybody to the trade floor. It's going to be so much fun. So Mark, yeah, thank you. I really, really look forward to seeing you next week. And I guess in summary, the last question, what's next for Mimaki? What does the future look like for our industry, and what can we look forward to? Now, we've touched on lots of points in that question, so it would be really nice just to do a summary as we close the webinar today.
Yeah, as everybody knows from Mimaki, we're not sitting still, so please keep a close eye on the development. Also for new products. Yeah, we are very excited to go to the FESPA, and on this show we are literally showing only new products, which we didn't show for 1.5 years. So we have a full booth with new products. So we are really looking forward to meet you all at the FESPA. And for upcoming products, yeah, we cannot share any information yet, but I think it's very nice to visit our booth during the FESPA. We have only new products, and as it is from the 100 series like Textile, UV, and transfer to UV, small UV LED, to our new JFX 600, which is new in the family, and like I mentioned, to the new 3D full color machine. So visit us next week.
There's a lot to see, isn't there? There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot to see. Yeah, and the team is really busy. So tomorrow everything will go to the FESPA, and everybody will work hard from the weekend up till next. What is it? Next Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? We've all had, a tough 18 months, but innovation didn't stop, did it? Innovation has continued throughout all of that time, and what we now need to do is leave the virtual and move into the physical, isn't it? Really, and it would be great to see everybody at FESPA last week. I encourage everybody to make the effort to visit. Mark, thank you so much. Do you have any questions for me today? We do have a little bit of time left, but I think I have exhausted all of our questions. We had a great chat.
Any questions for you? Looking forward to you.
You can leave that till
see you next week. And we have a few questions from the audience here.
Oh,
like
good.
Marianne is presenting, and we have some. Thank you for your interesting discussion. Can you give an idea of the proportion of the textile printers that are sold with reactive pigment versus dye sublimation? And also for the Tiger, what is the proportion of difficult ink type sold? That's a very nice question, Catherine. Yeah, if we talk about the Tiger, we are selling the machine in sublimation and in reactive, direct. Depending on the region, we in the Iberia region we sold a few with reactive ink, and like in Central Europe, it's mostly like for sublimation, for the fast fashion industry. And the proportion of the reactive pigment versus dye sublimation, it's a difficult question.
I think in the marketplace itself, it's about 60% really dye sub, isn't it? 60% of the marketplace.
Yeah, but it is also depending on what machine. So if you look at the full market, it's 60%, but we are honestly selling the most dye sublimation versus, if we do it versus reactive and pigment. And also we sell some acid machine, but it is a lot is local, like in France for scarves, or in UK.
Yeah, it's niche.
The high-end niche fashion markets.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I guess, you know, we touched on that before, didn't we? You'll start to see that those pigment numbers creep now, as technology advances and as speed, and as you said, you know, as price pointing, etc., nearshoring, all of those issues are going to see a wider adoption, I believe, of pigment technologies and reshoring satellite sites all over the world. Actually, it's not a lot, you know, reshoring and supply chain issues are a global issue. Regardless, it's not just affecting Europe. It's a worldwide problem. Are there any more questions, Mark?
Can you share something with the Printeriors?
Oh, can I share Printeriors? Yes, I can tell you about Printeriors.
Good question, Marjan.
Okay, so on Printeriors, yeah, we've worked with Jasper Goodall again, which has been fabulous. So we have a really great collection of five design collections that are all inspired by nature, all inspired by flora and fauna. Inspiration originally from the botanical gardens in Madrid. We all went and had a great visit there and took lots of photography, and that's carried in forward. So this whole 5 collections have been on ice for 18 months, and it really has been a fantastic project to work on. And then what we've done, they kind of bridge, they're absolutely beautiful, and the design collections bridge the gap between graphics and interiors, because we're working, you know, in wide format industry. So they are quite graphic. I've worked with Jasper and we've created lots of repeating patterns and lots of all sorts of gorgeous decorative ornaments and elements. And yeah, we kind of push technology to the max, really, which for me is an absolute joy, because I get to use so many innovative technologies and materials and push boundaries, and it's just going to be fabulous. It really is. There are textiles, wall coverings, UV gels, there's leather, there's glass, there's acrylics. We've got huge printed rugs, printed furniture, lots and lots of different innovative wall covering surfaces too, and there's a big push for sustainability in this stand. It's been crafted out of low carbon aluminium, and it will be repurposed year after year now as part of the Printeriors feature. But I've also tried to echo that throughout all of the materials in the stand too. So there are lots and lots of sustainable recycled polyesters, responsibly sourced polyesters. There are unbleached organic cottons, lots of different synthetics. Yeah, loads of things, and the same across the wall covering side too. So we've got, you know, really great non-woven wall coverings that are all responsibly sourced. We've got some fantastic products. So it's very much it's a celebration of print, technology, the community working together, a celebration of innovation, and also a glimpse into the future of applications and what the creative can do with with your incredible technology. You know, we're all part of one supply chain.
Very nice. I think it's very nice how you merge the different kinds of industries and printing technologies, and if it is from UV printing on metal to textiles and wallpapers, I think that's the best. I think that's really nice of the Printeriors, and it will definitely add some thoughts to the people who would like to invest. Okay, I can also print this with the machine.
Yes. And it also shows people what they can do with the machinery they've already got as well.
Yeah.
So there are
some extra.
Yeah, exactly. Big opportunities here for convergence, aren't there? For companies who perhaps, you know, as you say, had all of their eggs in the events industry, but suddenly need to look for new opportunities to, you know, diverge their supply chains and their production workflow. Look for new opportunities. So yeah, there is so much. It's a huge market, the interior decor sector, and it's growing at such a phenomenal rate. And it's, you know, for me, it's, as a designer originally and continually, it's just such an amazing creative sector that democratizes print. I think that's what I also find so attractive about it. Anybody can print at any volume now, Mark, can't they? Yeah. You know, whether that is in the fashion industry or in the interior industry, you know, anybody can can be entrepreneurial and build their own business. And then we've got so many examples of that now, haven't we? It's fantastic.
Like a few years ago, if you needed one print, it was very expensive. But it now doesn't matter if you order like 10 pieces or 1 piece or 100 pieces.
Yeah.
Also, there's also a startup, and people would need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the margin it's really nice.
Yeah. And we should, we're going to be able to maintain that, because having all of the workflow automation in this. So basically, when even a large volume printer now is printing, you have to remember there's as much work in 1 meter as there is in a 10,000 meter order, really. As far as artwork and pre-press production goes, you press the button, it's just a matter of how much time the printer is going to run for. So all of the price pointing and the costing there was very much in the beginning process. But now we have digital workflow automation. The costing can remain similar in that it is just part of one large production print run.
Yeah.
And if it drops in automatically and it isn't touched by a human hand, then we really are going to have a very vibrant print industry that appeals to and addresses the needs of all marketplaces. It's a really exciting time.
If you look at the solutions, for finishing and printing, that even we and the competition is working with barcodes and with MDL commands, it can work with all different kinds of machine. So it doesn't matter if you print 1,000 pieces or 1 piece. It will read automatically and it will cut. It's really nice.
Yeah.
We got some questions. Keely Russell, I would love to know about the collaboration input that Mimaki is having on the Printeriors display. Thank you for the great webinar, Debbie.
Okay, Keely, it's nice to hear from Keely. I'm so glad that she's watched, and I'll actually mention Keely, Mark, because Keely is currently sat in Shrewsbury, and yesterday they had a great day learning all about Mimaki technology. Actually, Keely is part of the Creators in Residence project that we're running here at the UK, in the UK via CMY UK, and we've got 4 fantastic graduates actually, 3 surface pattern designers, 1 videographer. I've written the syllabus and we are taking them through the print journey from design to production for 6 months. And it's a worldwide event, so anybody can join in, nobody's excluded. The syllabus is available online, and we are videoing everything that the graduates are learning and sharing all of that knowledge open source through my website and through the CMY UK website. And we're going to do prizes and competitions, and then at the end we're going to have a really great awards ceremony and a celebration of our industry and being able to pass our knowledge on. None of us are getting any younger. We need to encourage the next, except you, Mark, of course. Except we need to encourage. We need to encourage the next generation, don't we? We really, really do.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic initiative. It really is. I'll send you a link over. You can have a look.
Yeah.
And you can follow the hashtag. Yeah. Create CIR Live. It's called. It's a brilliant initiative. The girls had a great time yesterday, and they actually posted lots of TikTok videos last night playing with what they'd learned on the Mimaki, printing pigment on the. I get the numbers wrong. It's the 3,000, the 300.
300, yeah.
Yeah, the 300 series, yeah. So they've
nice.
been around, we've been doing it, this is their 3rd week, that's all. So it's all very, very new, but it's a really, really great project, definitely, yeah. Mark, it's been fantastic to talk with you. I can't wait to see you next week. It's going to be lovely.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie. And,
really great.
Thank you for your time and experience and sharing our knowledge, and see you next week.
Yeah, thank you everybody for listening. We hope to see you next week. And if not, follow online, but we really would like to see you in the physical as opposed to the virtual next week at FESPA in Amsterdam. Mark, thank you so much.
Thank you, Debbie. Enjoy your day.
Take care. Enjoy
Bye-bye.
your day. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.